Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
You're listening to the Sportsman's Nation Podcast Network, powered by Interstate Batteries. From your truck to your trail camera, Interstate Batteries has you covered. Visit your local Interstate Battery store today or online at interstatebatteries.com. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable.
My name is Clay Newcomb, and I'm the host of the Bear Hunting Magazine podcast. I'll also be your host into the world of hunting the icon of North American wilderness, the bear. We'll talk about tactics, gear, conservation, but we'll also bring you into some of the wildest country on the planet, chasing bear.
We are in British Columbia, Canada. How about you guys introduce yourselves? To my right is
Devin, Jewell, owner of Pacific Bear Outfitters in British Columbia, Canada.
Devin, Jewell. To my left is
Daniel Rupp.
What do you do, Dan?
I am the owner of nothing. I'm Clay's buddy, and along for the ride and having the time of my life.
That's right. So we're sitting at bear camp here at Pacific Bear Outfitters in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. That's what they say on their license plates. Beautiful British Columbia, Canada.
They're not lying.
And they're not lying at all. So we got a fire crackling in front of us. It's about 60 degrees. Spoiler alert, Dan and I no longer have bear tags. We did have bear tags that were unused. Now our bear tags are used. And so the last episode, Dan told us his story. And we gave quite a bit of context for this hunt and our relationship. And so as just a quick recap, Dan and I are like longtime friends. Our families have been friends for a long time. We're both from Arkansas. But Dan's been out of the country for Dan and his wife, family, have been out of the country for about 10 years.
Yep.
And so Dan and I bow hunted together back in the early 2000s and just had we were just like, Dan kind of got into bow hunting through me, and we just had an awesome time.
Yeah.
So that's Dan and I's history. And they were back in the States for a short time, and we've been planning this hunt for a long time.
A decade.
And so Devin W. Jewell, I had a W into most people's names because of the very monumental time in my life when President George W. Bush was our president. So I just added W to everybody's name. I don't know why. Devin W. Jewell, he graciously had us in his camp this year. So Devin and I were the only ones in camp. And I want to give just a little bit of a context of British Columbia is an El Primo place to hunt black bear. When you look at the scope of northern bear hunting, black bear hunting, British Columbia is at the top of the heap in terms of in many places. And it's not necessarily that this is the only place to kill a big bear. But when I say at the top of the heap, I mean these are some of the more expensive hunts in Canada. Mm-hmm. If on an outfitted hunt, you've got to have an outfitter to hunt. A non-resident has to have an outfitter to hunt in Canada. And the epic beauty of this place is what stands out.
Yeah.
We're in the coast mountains of BC, which this is basically would you say this is the northern stretch of the Rockies?
No. The Rockies is totally different.
Okay.
So Rockies border Alberta, BC.
Okay.
Border.
So this is totally separate from the
coast
Rockies.
range just runs up the ocean, starts in like northern California-ish, but it's not as big there, and then runs up into like Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah, so it runs all through BC and up into Alaska, and it's one of the newest mountain ranges in North America. So it's very pointy. Very pointy, very new, very glaciated place. Yeah.
Really dramatic.
Yeah, very dramatic. So from almost any vantage point, we are in dense forest, but can see the tops of snow-covered mountains.
Yeah.
We talked about last episode about the epic water features of this place. Big, glacial, fast-moving rivers. Waterfalls around every corner that if they were in Arkansas, we would have a state park there.
You know, one thing we did, you saying almost from any vantage point we can see snow-capped mountains. Just kind of, I think another thing that makes this place and this hunt really fun is you feel like you're a part of this, again, from Arkansas, and rarely seeing snow on the ground for more than about 15 minutes.
Right.
Being in a land where you're surrounded by these snow-capped mountains, but I'm walking around in a t-shirt, I'm hiking, I'm getting warm. We're not freezing. I mean, we're super comfortable.
Yeah.
It's
the igloos we stay in are nice.
the igloos we stay.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly.
Mild temperatures.
Yeah, super comfortable.
But we're looking at these snow-capped mountains, which to us is like crazy.
Usually when you're in a place where it's really wild and far out, you're also, I feel like, at least I have been weather-wise, also really uncomfortable.
And you've hiked in the Himalayas.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. So anytime I've done stuff like this, it's been in the Himalayas, and you're either struggling with altitude sickness or you are freezing your tail off no matter what you're doing.
Right.
You could be sitting on the fire and you're still cold. But here, I mean, you got all the beauty of that, but no problem with altitude, and you are just fit as a fiddle weather-wise. It's no problem.
Yeah, amazing. No, so Dan he's been on a couple of pretty big adventures, and how far did y'all hike? You went on a 5-day backpack trip in the Himalayas and summited a nice mountain over there.
We didn't make a summit.
Okay.
The weather closed in on us, but we hiked up to 16,500 feet.
Yeah.
And that's pretty tall.
Yeah, that's pretty tall.
The oxygen at 18,000 feet is when it's half of the oxygen content for sea level. So basically, it takes 2 breaths to do what you normally do. But you're working a lot harder too. So.
Yeah. Wow. So British Columbia is this beautiful place. To me, the water, the mountains, but also the bear hunting. Tell us a little bit about just Devin, like maybe just recap what we said last time about how the western side of these mountains are more lush and so critters are bigger.
Yeah, so especially when it comes to bears. So rainfall kind of equates to like numbers of bears and quality of bears. So you get on the west side of the Coast Range, just like precipitation is measured in like feet a year, right? Yeah. So the others on the east side, of course, it's much drier, almost like arid desert. So on the west side of the mountain range, you get more berries, more growth, fireweed, just a longer growing season and far more plentiful growth from that. Yeah. So of course, higher densities of bears and bigger bears.
Yeah. So British Columbia, talking about it being a primo destination for black bear. These bears have, like, the older mature males in this region are known for having big frames, big gorilla-like frontal like big arms, big chest, big frames. I mean, every destination kind of has something that's unique, you know. And I would say that's a feature of here is just big old bears, gorilla-like bears,
and a lot of bears.
Yeah.
I think that's I don't know, but
Yeah.
for me that really surprised me.
Yeah.
Just,
We've had some really cool bear encounters.
yeah.
Before we get into my hunt, maybe we'll talk about the encounter we had yesterday. So we'd already used our tags. We were actually going out to shoot some B-roll for video, and we stopped at just a random location that had some nice vistas. And we get out of the truck, and Devin goes, "Holy cow." Canadians don't say holy cow, they say other stuff. He said, "Holy expletive, there's a bear." And we look over, and what did we see, Devin?
There was a brown chocolate-colored sow just across the road from us on like a big stump guarding like an older tree, which must have had a cub in it. So she was just sitting at the base of the tree watching
Just
us.
like 30, 40 yards
Yeah,
from
just
us.
across the road from us.
Sitting on this huge, like, 4-foot stump. I mean, it was a spectacular sight.
Beautiful.
To see this bear standing on the stump. And so we're all thinking this bear's going to run away. So we're like scrambling to get the cameras. Dan's grabbing the 5D, and we're just like taking pictures. We're thinking we're going to have like 30 seconds before this bear jumps off this stump and leaves. And we just like keep taking pictures and keep taking video, and it's like, this bear doesn't seem to be that worried about us being here. So I'm like, "Hey Dan, walk up to that bear. I'll film you."
You
And
are
so-
an idiot, and I'm a bigger idiot for doing it.
And so he just kind of starts like creeping towards this bear, and the bear doesn't move. Creeping. And you're like 8 yards from this bear who's just standing there. Beautiful chocolate-colored, color-phased bear.
Gorgeous
And in the bear hunting community, like a color-phased bear is a unique animal. So it was just a spectacular, and it wasn't large. I mean, we knew it wasn't a big bear, but it was an adult bear. It wasn't a
adult
cub.
female.
It was an adult, and you know, after assessing the situation, Devin was like, "Guys, that's a female, and she probably has a cub." Because she would not move, and then she started getting aggressive.
Yeah.
So Dan's like 7 yards from her taking pictures. I'm like probably
35 yards.
14. I'm hiding in the truck. I'm in the truck, hanging out in the window,
Drinking some coffee.
going, "Get closer!" And this bear finally, like, woofs.
Yeah.
I mean, we sat there. So the long story is, we ended up sitting there for minimum 30 minutes filming this bear. She was woofing, popping her teeth. She
Kinda
would
hopping.
She would jump towards us and stomp the brush.
Yeah.
And clearly, the bear was guarding a cub that was either up a tree or
Sleeping.
in a hole.
Something.
She did not want to move, and she wasn't gonna move. She actually got closer to us.
Yeah.
And so, you know, in a situation like that, you don't want to push it. But it was hard to leave. Like, we just kept, Devin was in the truck, just like, "Okay, guys, we need to."
He's like, "Guys, I see this all the time."
He's
We're
like-
like, "There's a bear right
Yeah,
there."
Daniel and I, we were just like,
But
"How do
Devin,
we leave?"
There's a bear.
We were just like watching this bear. I mean, it got real comfortable with us. I mean, even though it was being aggressive,
Yeah.
it was kind of odd because it got comfortable with us being there and just like sit down and
She wasn't-
scratch its ear.
She wasn't super worried because she
Now,
would.
when we got closer, that's when
Uh-huh,
she
yeah.
got aggressive.
Yeah.
And, you know, in a situation where you're on a baited hunt, you see things like this. Like, you're seeing bear at close proximity, a lot of bears.
Mm-hmm.
But on a spot and stalk hunt, which in British Columbia, that is the only legal method of harvest is spot and stalk. So you can't use, well, it's not. You can hunt with hounds
Yeah, you can
for
do-
black
you
bear in
can
British
hunt with
Columbia.
hounds, yeah.
You cannot hunt over bait in British Columbia. And so, but it was just a unique experience, and so that was that. So Dan killed a bear, and in the first episode of this, you would have heard about Dan's hunt, which he killed a bear on the second day. So on the third day was my first time to hunt, and I was hunting with a new rifle that I got. I got a Best of the West Hunter Elite rifle, which is a spectacular long-range guns. one of the El Primo long range gun made, in my opinion. And so this gun it has a custom turret that's built by the guys at Best of the West, 300 Win Mag. Basically, Best of the West calibrates this gun for you, drop data, builds a custom turret, sights it in. Like, the package is hunting ready when you get it, and this gun has got a turret that goes out to 900 yards and is guaranteed accurate out that far. Now, can I shoot it that far, hunting accurate? No. I mean, that to be able to shoot that far takes a lot of practice, a lot of skill. And I'm a proficient shot, but not a long range expert at all. But so I'm carrying this Best of the West rifle, and Dan killed his bear walking the roads, which there's two ways that we hunt here. Walking roads, because road ditches in a heavily forested region, the ditches let sunlight touch the forest floor, and so all kinds of vegetation that the bears eat, primarily fireweed, grow in the ditches. So the bears are along these logging roads. So we walk the logging roads and find bears. The second way is hunting cut blocks, which are forestry chunks out of the timber where they've cut all the trees. Second year cut blocks
Are the hot spots.
Hot spots.
Man, just look at those huge bear hides.
Wow, look at them over there. Wow. Spectacular bear hides within 12 feet of us. So I told these guys that the way I preferred to kill a bear in British Columbia was glassing these cut blocks. That just, to me, that's the way when I envision killing a bear here, I envision glassing in some beautiful glacial valley and seeing a black speck far away eating fireweed in a cut block. So it's the third day of the hunt. Devin takes us into this area that has a lot of 2-year-old cut blocks, and he'd been in there some this year and had seen some. Did you see some sows and cubs in there?
Yeah, sow cubs. I didn't see any singles, I don't think. I think just sows and cubs I'd seen.
So, yeah, but that was like 2 weeks ago or something.
Yeah, before you got here by a bit, yeah.
So, you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
So we go back in there because, like, just the scenario is right for there to be a bear there. And it's Clay's first day to hunt. And I get out of the truck, and we start walking down the road.
Well, no, before you want to talk about, you were telling us what a group of bears was called.
Yeah, so this will play greater significance into the story later. At some point earlier in the day, I had asked a bear trivia question to Devin and Dan, and I said, do you guys know what a group of bears is called? Because there's a name.
That's not a family unit.
That's not a family unit.
Yeah,
What's a family unit?
Well, it's
Mother
like
and cubs.
sow and cubs.
Oh,
So a non-family unit.
So
group.
animals have grouping names like a covey of quail, a herd of elk, a flock of geese,
Pride of lions.
a pride of lions, a sounder of pigs,
A snickerdoodle of squirrels. Isn't that it?
yeah, snickerdoodle.
I thought so.
I can't tell if you're joking.
I'm joking.
I was like, man,
Did you not
wait.
know that? Snickerdoodle of squirrels?
Right. So there's these names that describe groups of animals. Now, bears are typically not in groups. So I asked them the question, and Dan guessed. Well, the answer to the question is a sleuth.
Which is...
A sleuth of bears.
Yeah.
So if you were to see a grouping of bears, perhaps like in a clear cut, and they were all together, you'd say, man, there was a whole sleuth of bears up there.
I might not say that.
Dan wouldn't. But so Dan was like, that's kind of a stupid name. He's like, and then what'd you say?
Man, they need... Bears are... Just being here, bears are just really awesome and big. And if you have a group of bears, you want to... There should be a cooler, like a pride of lions. Like, that's
Right.
an awesome...
Right.
So I said, it ought to be like a council of bears.
Yeah, and Devin was like, oh, yeah, a council of bears.
Yeah,
That'd
it
be
sounds
good.
way cooler.
Yeah, it sounds way cooler.
More like, I don't even know.
A sleuth of bears.
Yeah,
Sleuth of bears.
So that happened sometime earlier in the day. And so we're now hunting, and it's later in the evening.
Yeah,
I will say that.
was morning, probably.
Yeah, and so now it's kind of like prime bear time, like the last 4 hours of the day. We parked the truck on the kind of like at the first section of these 2-year-old cut blocks, and we're going to walk about a K into. And for all you Americans that have no idea what a K is, we don't either. We're just trying to sound like Devin. A
1,000
K,
meters, 1 kilometer.
1,000 meters.
We base everything on 10, not whatever it is y'all came up with. Random
Body part measurements. Feet.
There's nothing more natural than feet.
Yeah.
It's biblical. It's the biblical measurement.
Feet. Feet.
And just in case you don't understand it, he gave you 2, so you can get it.
So we were going to walk about a K into,
Wait a second. He also gave you 10.
10
Devin,
fingers, 10
Devin.
toes.
Devin,
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
So
I hate it when you're right. Dang it.
Dan and I have had a challenge this whole trip translating kilometers in the metric system back into something that we understand. But so we're gonna walk back in here, and on either side of the road, so we're on kind of a slope, and on either side of the road are these big cut blocks. And I mean, you can see up to probably 500-600 yards in some places. And to the right of us was this big cut block that I think I ranged the furthest point like 537 yards to the
down.
furthest point.
Yeah. Which
Is,
is kind of where
is
we're
it worth saying? So before I ever did any bear hunting or knew anything, you'd say cut block, and I had no idea what you're talking about. It's just a large swath of the forest that they very strategically, the logging companies, have taken the logs out of.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's a good point, because when you come to different parts of the world to hunt, people have different ways of saying. I would call it a clear cut, and that technically is not at all a clear cut, but in Arkansas, that's what we say. It's a clear cut, clear cut.
Yeah,
I mean, just generic place where logging has happened.
Yeah.
But technically, a clear cut would be where they cut every single tree.
Then they don't
just
do
like
that.
flatten the place.
Yeah.
So that is not. But Devin calls them cut blocks. Okay.
And Devin's always right.
Here he is.
Oh.
In Arkansas, we'd put him in his place. So we're walking through these cut blocks, and so to the left of us you can see 526 yards. To the right of us, excuse me, to the left of us, we're looking up this hill and this cut block, and we're kind of ranging as we go. And I mean, like the furthest distances we're seeing here are around 400 yards. And so these cut blocks are not just empty and void of trees, but they strategically leave strips of trees, leave clumps of trees, and they're stumpy and rocky, and there's debris and downfall. And so, but more importantly, there's fireweed. Where are we after? Sausage. Where there's fireweed growing in these cut blocks.
Yeah.
So it's Clay's first day to hunt. 10 minutes into the hunt, I mean, we're hardly out of sight of the truck.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be, I think, the first one that just looked up this direction. And there's a bear. And I say, "There's a bear, guys." And I see the bear moving quickly, which is an unusual. I mean, like, I wasn't expecting to see a bear just like moving fast.
Yeah.
And this bear's moving fast, coming down off of a bank. And I feel like the bear is like either he's been spooked and he's moving from us, or he's just traveling across. And so I'm like, "There's a bear." He's moving to the left, and he went, what appeared to me, he went into this strip of trees. So we actually, rather than go forward, my instinct was to go backward, the direction of the bear, and I feel like we're going to see the bear on the other side of this strip of timber. So we backpedal like 50, 60 yards, and I ranged where the bear was, and the bear was like 177 yards. So 177 yards uphill from us pretty significantly.
with
Bears,
our wind going towards him.
the wind was going towards
The
the
thermal lift was pushing our scent
And
towards the
thinking
bear.
back on it, Devin, our guide, went forward.
Yeah.
And Clay,
I called him back.
You and I pulled back.
Yeah.
And he probably sent it us and not Devin. Devin was further down the road, and the way the wind was going.
Yeah, they have.
He probably sent it you.
Well, I don't know. Probably smelled my mustache.
Your mustache smells like tacos. And we haven't had tacos in months.
What kind of tacos?
Woo, moose tacos.
Bad tacos.
Moose tacos. So, well, but it turns out the bear hadn't smelled us at that point, Dan.
Yeah.
Because we go back for probably 8 minutes. We're expecting to see this bear move in the direction we thought he was moving. And we're thinking he's going to pop out. And Devin finally starts creeping up the road. And Devin's like probably 80, 90 yards in front of us down the road.
Yep.
And he starts flagging us over. He's like, come on, come on. And we know what that means. He had seen the bear. So what?
We saw the bear.
Saw the bear.
He was just in there feeding, eating some firewood.
So he was right where I saw him.
Yeah, he just was there. I mean, the cup block you would think is like flat, but it's actually like super fissured, right? And there's like stumps. So, I mean, they can disappear in all those little crevices for a little bit as they're eating easily.
Yeah. And so what I thought was a moving bear was actually a bear that was just like moving to relocate to like eat a different patch of firewood.
Just graze in a different spot for a while.
Yeah. And so herein starts the interesting part of this story is that we have to judge this bear. And so...
Well, but Clay's picky because he killed like 500 bears.
True. Well, not true.
Like 6 anyways.
I've killed like 498.
And I think you're not just wanting to kill any bear. You're also not wanting... You got this new gun, and normally you're shooting with a bow, and that's real close range.
True.
You're wanting a long shot.
Yeah, like I didn't want to do anything unethical or unnatural. It's not like I wanted to see a bear and like back up to shoot it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in my heart of hearts, I was hoping for a 300+ yard shot. It really wanted even a little bit longer because we had shot this gun pretty extensively beforehand. I mean, this man at 400 yards is like a chip shot with a good rest, with no wind, with time. And so the longest shot I'd ever shot at an animal with a rifle is probably 150 yards.
So this bear is 170?
This bear's 177 yards.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell the story just like it happened because Devin, and let me preface the story with saying that Devin is an expert at judging bears on the paw. He is.
On the hoof.
On the hoof.
If they had hoofs.
Bear, he's an expert, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm a fair judge of bears myself, just from seeing a lot of them and studying it. But this is what's cool, though, and Devin said this, and I never heard anybody say it, but part of the fun of...
Oh, part of the fun of hunting bears is not only just like sexing bears, but like judging bears, because it's not...
Yeah.
They don't have antlers, right?
Right.
They're just a ball of fur. So you got to try and like learn all these like character traits that would indicate it being a big male or a young male or intermediate male or whatever you're looking at, or potentially a giant.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just like it's a 4-point, got him.
Yeah.
There's a giant blob with a head.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder how big it is. So
Right. And it's very easy to make a mistake.
Oh, very, yeah. There's no...
It really is a whole different... I mean, being a guy that, again, a deer hunter from Arkansas, I feel like in a lot of ways you have to know a lot, and it really is a lot of skill. I'm also not I don't consider myself a super knowledgeable hunter, but I can look at a buck, a whitetail buck, and I know what kind of buck it is immediately.
Right.
But with the bear, especially on the hoof, on the paw, it's an entirely different skill set.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball. It's a different universe as far as what kind of an animal is that. Super impressive. Fascinating to me.
Well, and what I liked was that Devin said that is part of the fun and intrigue of bear hunting is judging a bear. Because when I first saw the bear, I don't know if you guys remember it, but I told you I thought it was a small bear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I saw a bear, and I said, I think it's a small bear. Well, let's stop right here, though, and let's talk a little bit about judging bears. like, what are you looking for in an older, mature male? Through the glass.
Through the glass.
200 yards or 500 yards.
Droopy belly. Body posture, that'd be like a huge part of like judging them.
Posture of body.
Yeah, big shoulders, like more of a rectangular body shape. Head to body ratio should be small, but the head should look like solid, obviously. Like if the first thing a non-bear hunter says is, "Oh, I saw a bear, it's huge, it had a huge head." Well, to a bear hunter, that means that's probably a small bear.
Yeah.
Because if it's all head, that means it's just a young bear, right?
Lanky body.
Lanky-bodied bear.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just looking for that, like, I use the head as, like, a judge. So, like, if you just averaged out a black bear head, it's probably, like, let's just say for ease of math, it's 12 inches. So how many, like, head lengths could you get into the body if you had time to, like, perfectly horizontally lengthen the bear with its own head as a scale, right? Because here you can't use, like, trees or stumps or sticks or rocks because everything's so, like, you can have a tree that's a 6-inch diameter, you can have a tree that's like a 6-foot diameter.
Yeah.
So you have no scale from the vegetation whatsoever.
Right.
So, yeah, just tricks you learn, right?
Yeah. So I would say for me that a boar is always going to be taller. Like sows are shorter, sows are pear-shaped. Like their chest is going to be smaller, their butt's going to be bigger.
Would you say that resembles human people?
I'll let Dan comment on that.
No comment.
Okay. But it may or may not. So, one thing that I look for, and it's harder at longer distances.
For sure.
But like front feet.
Yep.
I mean, like a bear, a mature male, and even on a lesser scale, an immature male is going to have wider pads, thicker ankles.
Thicker ankles.
A sow has like skinnier wrists, smaller feet. You are looking for the how much daylight is under the belly, but that can be deceptive because you can be looking at 150-pound sow bear
with a droopy belly.
With a droopy belly that's 6 inches from the ground, and if you don't understand the scale, you'd be like, "That's a monster bear! Look, its belly's dragging the ground." Well, it's a 4.5-foot bear.
Man.
So scale is everything.
Scale is everything.
And that's what got me on this bear was scale. So you're looking for feet, you're looking for front shoulders, you're looking for rectangular shape, you're looking for just thickness. Like I've noticed when you see a big male bear, you just think he's thick.
Yeah, thick and strong.
He's thick. Yeah, and you're not. I noticed in retrospect after we, spoiler alert, passed the bear.
Oh my goodness!
I remember thinking back on what I saw, and I saw a bear that didn't have much of a neck. It was like his shoulders just went into his head, and that indicated that he was just like this big, stocky bulldog. Like
that little chocolate bear that we bumped into, she had a really long neck. I remember her setting up on that stump, and we were 7 yards, and she just looked out, and her nose would go out, and she just had a very significant neck.
Right.
And she was also a pretty small bear.
Yeah. Yep. So I would just say that scale is everything because you just got to know what you're looking at. But a big mature male is just going to look thick. So, and I'm going to tell this whole story because I've already told you that Devin is an expert. And so Devin, and he kind of said this like tongue-in-cheek, but I told him it was a small bear. Devin goes out in front of us, sees the bear feeding almost in the same spot I saw it originally, but was fooled into thinking that it had moved. And Devin waves us over, and it's the I see a bear wave. I think we all know that wave.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. I mean, I knew he was looking at a bear. We go up there, and he says, "There's your 7-foot bear." And he kind of said it like I knew he didn't like mean that fully, but he was trying to say, "Clay, that's a big bear."
In your defense, Devin is Canadian, and he's hard to understand sometimes.
True. I thought he was talking a metric system.
Metric 7.
Metric 7, which would be
Canadian feet.
giant.
Wait.
Well, I don't know.
See, it's just all it's confusing.
0.7 meters.
Okay. No, and so I run down there. Dan gets the camera set up. I drop down on my knees, and I'm looking up the mountain at this bear, and the wind is hitting us right in the back of the neck, going straight to this bear. And through the scope, I see this bear at 177 yards, bobbing his head up and down, dipping his nose into the air. He's winding us.
Boom. Damn.
And we know that our time is limited. And immediately, Devin says, I don't think that bear's 7 foot.
Yeah.
He says, nah. And I hear that kind of, like, I wonder what tone, like if we were playing piano, that tone, nah.
Yeah,
like
a B flat.
Like a B, I hear like a B flat note.
I think to me, that's the third day of the hunt. I hunted the first 2 days, and then the morning of the third day, we were basically going after my bear and kind of getting it back to camp. So literally, you have 4 more whole days of hunting ahead of you.
Right.
And you wanted a much longer shot. You wanted a big bear, and we weren't sure this was a big bear, and it certainly wasn't a long shot.
And none of us wanted to take a smaller bear. I mean, like, I wanted to get a big bear. Devin wanted me to get a big bear. And so all the things were stacked against us to make a mistake on this bear.
Yeah.
And so, but immediately Devin goes, no, I don't think that's a 7 foot bear. And I'm just like, well, what do you think? Should I shoot? I mean, okay, the bear wins us, and the bear doesn't run away. The bear just starts moving towards the wood line.
Up away from
just
us.
Moving slowly towards the wood line. He'd stop and look back. I don't think he saw us. I doubt he would have seen us with his eyes, but he could smell us. And he would just walk. And so I've got the gun up, and I'm ranging, and I'm like, he's 200 now. He's 225. And Devin is totally giving me the option to shoot this bear. He's like, that's a good bear. And he said, I'd say 6+, and then he said that's probably a 6.5 foot bear. That's what the conclusion you came to.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, you said that's a 6.5 foot bear, and
it's really impressive.
But still, I was like, should I shoot that bear? Because, and I learned something on this hunt that I'm going to come back to, and I'm going to tell you now though. A 6.5 foot bear.
You're going to come back to it now?
I'm going to tell you something later. That's the conclusion of this whole thing. But I'm going to tell it to you now so that you know it. So when I tell it to you later,
it makes more sense.
It'll make more sense.
I don't know.
Spoiler alert.
See, now you're talking normal.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Like a humorous joke, but not humorous?
It's a humorous joke, but it's not really that funny. A 6.5 foot bear is a whopper bear. I don't care what you say. I don't care what your outfitter says. 6.5 foot bear is a big bear.
It's a good bear.
It's a good bear.
So that's what I'm saying. So anyway, but at the moment, we decided that Clay wasn't going to shoot a 6.5 foot bear.
No.
Right?
Right.
I mean,
even now you can tell we're a little hesitant about it. But so many things pointed against it.
Right. And so, well, and the primary thing for me was I had been hunting for 10 minutes. The bear was moving away. We were going to have to make a rush decision. And there was doubt in everyone's voice. Every voice around me was like, well, Dan kind of was like,
Dan
man.
was just screaming, kill it!
He was like,
I was shooting.
He was like, man, we got it on film, Clay. He was like, this may be your chance.
And in my expertise, that's a 10-foot bear.
Yeah.
That's a 10-foot.
Dan's
That's a 500-yard shot. Kill it.
Dan's like, this is a world record black bear.
Dadgummit.
No. So we video this bear, and basically the bear walks off, and I don't shoot.
Yep.
And almost.
And we didn't really care at the time.
At the moment.
At the moment, we were kind of like proud of ourselves a little bit.
We are
I was.
conservationists right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is like, we are the epitome of
Selective hunting.
selective harvest. We were like, in 2 years, that bear will be a whopper.
Man.
I think I said that.
And 2 minutes later,
Well, we keep walking, and it
Walk
took me
5
about
minutes.
a total of 5 minutes
that 2
to
years went by
like deepen
quick.
my spirit. Like my mind was still rationalizing why this was such a brilliant decision to pass this bear. But deep in my heart, I was like, holy smokes, that was a nice bear. And the further we got, the more Dan was like trying to make me feel good about it. He's like, you're going to be glad you passed that bear. And I was like, yeah, I really I'd like to get like just a whopper. Anyway, we go about a K down the road, and we're strategizing about how we're going to get back on that bear.
Spend the whole rest of the hunt.
Devin starts saying like, we could probably glass from right here if we need to get back on that bear later in the week. It's like, we could probably, and I'm already seeing this thing like play out, and I'm like, we're going to be hunting this bear the rest of the week. Like, and Devin had his camera with him, which had a really good zoom, and he had zoomed in really on this bear, and he starts watching the footage.
Oh, man.
And he, at some point, looks at me and goes, I think we made a mistake. And he says, look at this. And it shows the bear. And he has this, like, it's like a bear.
Swagger.
It has a swagger. Like, it's like there's a joint in the middle of his back, and his front legs just, like, pivot.
The
when he
swagger
walks.
joint.
The swagger. Yeah. Anyway, I look at it, and I go, dang it, you're right. And I'm looking, and I'm thinking about what I saw in the scope. What I saw in the scope was thickness. I saw very little. I saw a belly that hung low. I saw thick shoulders. I saw thickness, but for some reason, and I think it had to do with that. It was the first 10 minutes of the hunt. It was rushed. When I immediately saw the bear, I thought, oh, that's not a very big bear.
And when we were looking at Devin's camera, after you passed it, walked the K down, looking at the pictures of that bear, that zoomed in on that, and seeing him walk like that, that's when I just immediately, I went back to thinking a council of bears, and that's when I looked at that picture and saw him just kind of in his majesty, presiding over that big cut block, and I said, the councilman.
The councilman. So Dan names the bear the councilman. The councilman. And we realized that maybe we had made a mistake. And I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to give this responsibility. I had chose. And Devin totally was like, when I had the opportunity to shoot him the first time, he's like, Clay, it's your decision. Totally your decision. Like, he wasn't saying, don't shoot the bear. He didn't say that at all. He was like, your decision. Your decision. It's a nice bear. Your decision.
Oh, yeah. It was clearly your mistake.
Well, yeah. But you helped. And so then we're like regretting it. But and this is when and I just got to tell the folks back home when I gave my spiel about why I believed that bear would come back. The day before we had bumped a bear off the road, 2 days before we had bumped a bear off the road, and humans walking down a logging road with no trucks, no gravel popping, and all of a sudden a bear that's feeding in what he feels like is a secure place gets bumped off the road by human odor. I feel like that bear, I'm not saying he's not going to come back.
You'd just be a little wiser.
He'd be a little wiser about what happened. But there have been a lot of active logging in this region. Like we saw logging trucks as we were coming in and out. We actually saw tree planters about a K up the road that were moving around. And this bear had only smelled us. And so I said, hey, I don't think we really hurt this bear much. I don't think we bumped him that bad. Because we're down on the road, we're 200 yards from him, and he had just smelled us. And so there was this inkling of hope that the bear would come back. But I think deep down, at least I deep down, did not think that he would come back that night.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, honestly, what did you think, Devin? I mean,
hard
what
to
were the
say.
chances?
Good, I guess.
I mean, like, but at the moment, like in the hunting situation, usually things don't work in your favor.
No, generally not. You gotta.
So, I was thinking we'd come back tomorrow.
Yeah, probably
probably
more
find
likely.
him.
Yeah.
But Devin uses a lighter to test the wind. And so right now, currently the wind was coming up the mountain, like blowing back into where the bear went.
Yeah, to the initial lift that had scared him or
Right.
pushed him off the first time.
And so Devin says, well, let's wait till the thermals shift and we'll go back to where we saw the bear. And just maybe he'd be there. And when you're holding the gun, when it's your time to hunt, you just don't, a lot of times you just don't think it's going to work out perfect.
Yeah. It couldn't possibly work out.
Like the councilman, surely,
He's no dummy.
he's no dummy. He didn't get that big and be elected as councilman by being stupid. And so we sit there for like 30 minutes and I'm regretting it. I'm starting to feel that regret. And Devin's lighting his lighter, and there's just like a tipping point in the evening when the thermals just start to fall down the mountain. And so the second that happened, we said, let's go. And we walked, I would say, no more than 100 yards down the road. Devin's out maybe 30, 40 yards in front of us.
We're still lamenting the
initial
decision.
pass.
Yeah, we really were. And Devin gives us the I see a bear wave.
Get your
And I
butts
heard
up
him
here.
say, there he is. Just like, there he is. And I just, man, that, the thrill of hunting to me is found in the first encounter with an animal. Or like the first, like to me when I'm whitetail hunting,
Yeah.
every season I look forward to the first deer that I see of the year from the stand.
Yeah.
And to this day, if it's a doe, if it's a fawn, my heart skips a beat and it's just like, oh, it's a deer.
Yeah.
When I'm bear hunting, that first flash of black fur, if I'm hunting over bait or what, I mean, it's like, oh, and that's what it was like for me. He said, there he is. And it's just like, you're kidding. I mean, that's my expletive. You're kidding. You dirty Canuck. You lying to me.
You're tricking me.
You can't trust them.
And so he goes, there he is, and he gives us the bear wave.
Yep.
And I go, come on, Dan. And we just like start moving fast. And bam, I hit the ditch. Because there's a pretty nice little ditch there that I knew I could get my body lower than the road and get kind of a natural angle where I could be totally prone on the ground.
Because he's significantly
Higher.
elevation-wise higher than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, elevation-wise, he was,
A couple 100 feet, anyways.
yeah, 200 plus feet above us.
Oh, yeah.
And he's in the wood line, and all he had done was he went into the woods. We watched him walk into the woods. And, I mean, he just went up there and just
He
Laid
might
down
have
for a minute, probably.
laid down for an
gone
hour.
to the bathroom, took a nap.
Yeah. We could speculate on what he did.
Well, they probably attended chambers.
Yep.
Had what?
Attended the chambers, the council chambers.
Yeah. Any more you said he probably went to the bathroom,
Looked at a magazine.
maybe read
Bear hunting
No.
magazine.
And so, don't even tell him what you guys have been plotting. They've been plotting against me all week as publisher of Bear Hunting Magazine. We won't bring that up though. So the councilman had gone into the woods, and I mean just popped out in the same spot.
Yep.
But
I mean-
now, he's not at the same spot that he was when we passed on him. He's in the same cut block, but he's further away.
Yeah, true that.
So the first shot, 170 something.
right,
This one,
400.
400.
I'm laying on my belly with briars like piercing me.
Mm-hmm.
You're behind me with the camera. Devin's on his knees right to the right of me, glassing, telling me what the bear's doing.
Yeah.
And I get a range of 400 some odd yards.
So this is a shooter bear He's a great bear. We've had lots of time to think about it, and not
Right.
only that, but now it's going to be a significant shot.
Yeah, and
Which
that's
is
what
what
I
you
wanted.
wanted.
That's what I wanted. I wanted it. I wanted it. And so I'm prone, and I dial the turret to 400 yards
On your Huskamaw
on my
5 to
Huskamaw
20.
5x20. Yep. And zoom that bad boy up to 20 power. And I'm on the rest. And I truly was I was a little bit surprised at how nervous I was. I was surprised at how my heartbeat impacted the bounce of those crosshairs all
Wow.
over that bear.
Wow.
At that distance, you know? Like it was just like boom, boom, boom. And like the gun was jumping with my heartbeat. And I wasn't tired from walking anywhere. It literally was like
You were excited.
adrenaline and excitement. I knew I needed to settle down, but we also had lots of time. And this is where people mess up, is you got lots of time, but there's this predatory instinct inside of you that just wants to do it quick. I mean, you just like, got to get this done. I would say, from my experience with harvesting animals, that is the biggest mistake that people make, is that, like, when you see what you're after, you think you've got to get it done. And there are certain
Like
situations
jump
when you
shooting
do.
time. Yeah, well, for sure.
There's certainly situations when you have to act quickly if you're going to capitalize on an opportunity.
Yeah.
But
This was not one of those.
yeah, I mean, a mature hunter is going to know when that's the case and when it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to like talk myself down to like, this bear's not going anywhere. He's actually moving down the mountain. I've got plenty of time. I can wait for my heartbeat to slow down.
Yep. Breathe.
Breathe. And so at that point, I like talked myself down, and the situation just unfolded.
Mm-hmm.
I had a veteran bow hunter from Arkansas one time tell me something that's really simple, but it's meant a lot to me over the years. It's really simple. But he said most bow hunters make a mistake because they don't let the situation unfold before them. They try to make, or the opportunity. They don't make they don't let the opportunity unfold.
Yeah.
They try to make the opportunity happen. Force it. You can't force it.
Yeah.
If you force it, you'll mess it up.
You can't force the councilman.
You can't force the councilman to do anything. No. So, Devin has given me the play-by-play of what he's doing, because he's thinking I'm going to shoot at any second. Mm-hmm. He's like, broadside, bear's behind a rock, 1/4 I mean, it's great commentary. It's like having a spotter that's just, and I'm watching the bear, but it's confirming. He's confirming what my eyes are seeing, so it's giving me confidence. And it actually played out really good one
Super
time
helpful.
because at one point I thought the bear was 1/4 away. Just because like this black blob is just like moving through brush, through rocks. And at one time, my perception of what happened was contradictory to what he said. And I was actually about to shoot. And then he said it, and I was like, wait a minute. And I reevaluated what I was seeing, and I was like, oh, the bear is actually quartering to me. So, he's like spotting for me, just like broadside, 1/4, moving down, behind the rock, brushing away, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. When the bear was close to 400 yards, he was broadside, and I was actually going to squeeze. I mean, it was on. And I squeeze, waiting, trying not to anticipate when the gun's going to go off. And the squeeze just gets harder and harder and harder, and I really know the trigger pull on this gun. I've shot it enough. And pretty much I realize I'm like jamming on the trigger, and I'm like, safety's on.
Damn.
Click. So I, lift my head, click the safety off, take a deep breath, because I just knew I was about to squeeze the trigger. Safety was on. Well, by this time the bear's repositioned, moved, and it was probably another solid 5 minutes before I shot. How long do y'all think we actually did that?
Yeah.
I mean, we watched him for a long time.
I think it probably was 5 minutes.
And when you're looking through the scope of the bear, that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So the bear moves down, and he was at 400 yards to begin with. And every time he's moving, he's actually getting closer to us, kind of just snaking down through this cut block. I'm ranging from my belly, and it was real disrupting to have to range because you're down on the scope and you got him found. You're on 20 power. He's hard to see, kind of. And then he's moving, and you're like, well, he's probably moved 10 or 15 yards. I need to range him again. So you raise your head up, you range him, and then by the time you find him again, he's moved a little bit further. And so Devin kept saying, he's moved, but it's not a significant distance, or he's moved laterally, so he's not any further than he was. So that was helpful, because I would be like, I got to range him again. And he said, nah, he's basically at the same range. So that was helpful. And so finally the bear turns broadside. Boom! And the bear was at 350 yards per the rangefinder. And I lose track of the bear in the scope. But these guys are both watching it, and they see the bear run up the hill, maybe 8 yards.
Yeah, not very far.
And it's really kind of spectacular to me. The bear's running up a pretty steep incline and just tips over backwards with feet straight up in the air and just starts rolling down the hill. I mean, it was like, and I was jacking in another shell to shoot him again, because all that I saw was I shot and the bear ran.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I'm jacking another shell in, and before I can even get another shell in, Devin's like, he's down. He's paws up.
Yep.
Paws up. And Dan says,
Councilman's down.
meeting's adjourned. The meeting's adjourned, Councilman.
Session is closed.
Session is closed. And so I was excited. I really was. And to me, it was a unique experience shooting an animal at, for me, what was long range. I mean, for Western guys,
most people, that's long. That's pretty far.
350.
For real life hunting, 350's not close, right?
No way.
Yeah. And so most of my hunting of recent years has been very close range. I mean, hunting with traditional archery, man, I want to be within 12 yards of them. Mm-hmm. And so, but this was an equally compelling experience to shoot one at that far. And the way I would describe it is that it's almost like, you know, it's like a magical experience to be that far from an animal, mm-hmm. and to boom, and he dies.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole different skill set.
Yeah.
And a very specific that differs widely from traditional archery or bow hunting.
Yeah.
And it's super. I mean, when you say every time your heart beat, those crosshairs would bounce at 350 yards.
Would bounce a foot
a
on
smidgen
that bear.
Is the bear, so it's crazy.
Yeah. And what was really cool was having a very accurate weapon. Mm-hmm. I mean, that gun is a shooter, big time. And so that gives you the confidence that the bullet's going to hit where the crosshairs are on that animal.
The gun, and the great thing about it is you can trust that gun. The bad thing about it is if there's a mess up,
You only have one person to blame.
exactly.
Shooter error.
Shooter error.
Yeah.
So we go up to the bear, and it's just spectacular scenery.
Oh man.
I mean, you feel like you're on top of the world. That's what you were
Yeah,
saying.
it's like you killed a bear on top of the world because you did.
We're looking out across this huge glacial valley, snow-capped mountains, just spectacular. And to me, that was the highlight of it. To me, to kill a bear, bears are iconic of North American wilderness, and you need to kill a bear in the wilderness. And that's the experience, that's the adventure, that's the fun, is where these critters live. And so that was so cool. And so we get up to the bear, and I mean, he's the thumper. I mean, there's no way. I just don't know how anybody would pass this bear.
I think immediately again, knowing very little about bear, but knowing the bear that I had shot the day before. And Devin, again, probably would have wanted me to wait, but I just wanted one so bad. But then seeing immediately walking up on this bear, it was like, oh, okay, that's a big bear.
Yeah.
It's just huge.
Yeah. Spectacular coat.
Oh, man.
The fur on these bears is as good as any fur I've ever seen on a black bear. And I
yeah.
want to measure the fur on the rump of my bear. I mean, it's got to be 5 inches long. And I'm going to confirm that. But it's long. At the highest point, you know. Mm-hmm. At the longest point. But the bear, and so here's the cut to the chase, is the bear ended up squaring 6.5 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly
what Devin originally, you know, when he really evaluated, he was like,
from 200 yards away,
6.5 foot bear,
right on the money.
And then to go back to the spoiler alert that I already spoiled you with 30 minutes ago, that I'm going to spoil you with now, is that a 6.5 foot bear is a whopper.
Yeah.
Especially if it's thick. I mean, I suspect you could shoot a 6.5 foot bear that didn't weigh as much as this bear. I'm kind of funny when it comes to weight. I try to estimate on the underside of what it weighed. I think that bear in a range would have weighed 325 to 375.
Probably pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. And that's a toad of a spring bear. So this bear was, 6'6". And see, in the bear hunting community, like 7 foot is like the mark. But I want to draw the mark and say 7 foot's a whopper bear. I've killed a lot of bears. I've never killed a true 7 foot square bear. And I've killed bears that weighed 500 pounds, 435 pounds. So what I'm saying is that kind of in hunting, you get these things like, oh, you got to kill a 150-inch whitetail. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, I'd travel across the globe to kill a 140-inch whitetail with my bow. That's just the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if I lived in Iowa and was a resident Iowa hunter, I mean, maybe that'd be different. But so I'll just go on the record saying I'll travel across the globe to kill a 6.5 foot big old mean stinky black bear.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So awesome experience in the high country of British Columbia, Canada. We got the bear out. We took out all the meat. We even cut off a little rack of ribs, which the meat is going to be highly utilized. And Devin, what do you have to say about all this?
Just another day in the Canadian wilderness, boys.
Awesome.
Now, closing comments, Devin. Just you have anything you would add to, or just even your experience with guiding hunters, or
bear hunting is definitely like an adventure a hunter should try because it's not anything like hunting the antlered species, right? So it's just a totally different thing. A spring bear hunting especially is nice because they're so day active. Yeah. So it's a awesome adventure.
Oh man. Yeah.
Can I throw in a little tidbit of trivia here?
It is your podcast, so we kind of have to listen.
I don't even have a podcast.
Okay.
No, Devin told us last night that his first memory. He tricked us because he said, "Hey guys, what's your first memory?" And me and Daniel said something stupid like, "Oh, I remember riding my bike down the hill." And Devin goes, "My first memory was I was in my yard." Can I tell this? Is this okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
I think it's cool.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with you opening up Devin's deepest.
Well, he said it's okay.
Campfire discussion.
No, I'm not gonna. No. He said his first memory as a little boy. He was in his front yard in British Columbia, Canada, and a bear walks by. And no one had told him about bear hunting. No one had told him that humans could kill bears. And how old would he have been? Like 3, 4?
Probably 4. Yeah, somewhere in there, 4 or 5.
And he thought, I want to kill that bear.
I got my gun-shaped stick root. Kill that bear.
I want to kill that bear. And now, here we are. And that's what Devin does. Killing bears.
Weird thing was, even at 4 years old, he was 6'2".
Yeah.
Could walk over a mountain in 3 steps.
And he had legs like
a giraffe.
way out of proportion to the rest of his body. Oh, so Dan, so closing thoughts. Devin, Jewell, Pacific Bear Outfitters.
Come check it out.
Yeah. No, you put
yeah.
it a shameless plug for your
Yep.
fine organization.
Pacific Bear Outfitters, custom high-quality hunts for large coastal black bear.
Yeah. And I will say that Devin is the guide. I mean, like, you're not coming here and there's not like 6 hunters in camp. I mean, Dan and I are the only hunters in camp. Now, Dave, our hero, Dave, is the cook and is here just like as a support. He's an awesome guy. So I mean, like Devin, if you come here, I would say there's a good chance that Devin will be guiding you. If there were 2 people that needed guides, Devin has close friends that are guides that will guide as well, that know this area, that can. But a lot of times you go on a guided hunt and you book a hunt with an outfitter, and then you spend the week with some kid you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad. I don't want to paint that as like a negative thing. No. That's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah. So in every camp, there's a little bit of something different that might appeal to somebody.
Yeah.
But if you talk to Devin, he's the one you're going to be hunting with.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's cool. I think that's cool. So he takes a lot of personal responsibility for the success of these hunts, and I mean, he just works hard, and that's why I'm back for the second time.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, as publisher of Bear Hunting Magazine, I have access to a lot of different opportunities when it comes to black bear. And so for me to go to a place twice means something.
Yeah.
It really does.
I mean, for me, just being a normal guy, and I come because I'm your friend, and I'm on, taking your word for it. But I had no idea about bear hunting, just seen pictures of it and heard stories, but had no idea everything that goes into it. And I intentionally set my expectations really low. But in my heart of hearts, I wanted everything.
I want it all.
I want it all. I wanted like dramatic scenery, amazing experience, adventure. I wanted fun. I wanted to laugh the whole time with a friend, and I thought I want to spend a whole week with a guide that I don't even know. How's that going to be? What's that going to be like? I wanted to kill a bear. I wanted to eat good food. I'd set my expectations low, but deep down,
that's what you wanted.
I wanted everything, and all of it has way exceeded anything I could have ever wanted. Yeah. I mean, just super tons.
Like on the way here, or it may have been like 3 days before when you were at my house.
Yeah,
I really hadn't told you like the arrangements of camp, that we would each have our own wall tent.
Yeah,
and Dan was like, I thought it was going to be me and you and the outfitter in a little pop-up tent on the side of some mountain. And he was like totally pumped for months thinking about this hunt, just thinking we'll be like roughing it. Like,
oh man!
But man, we're at a really comfortable camp. Each, all of us have different, quite large wall tent.
Oh gosh!
I got my stuff just like strode out. It's like my cabin up there, and so it's real comfortable. And we're eating hot food. We just got what we need here. And I will say too, this would be something different than I've seen before for bear outfitters. Is that Devin fleshes and salts the entire bear, so that you don't have to take it home frozen. Mm-hmm. And they also clean the skulls while you're here,
if possible.
If possible. Yeah, if we have enough time.
Yeah.
If you don't kill a bear on like the last day.
Yeah, the last
Yeah, and so basically he saved us a couple $100 minimum in taxidermy work. Like we still have to take this bear to the taxidermist to get whatever done with it we're going to do with it. But usually you'd have to pay someone quite a bit to take out the paws, take out the head, flesh the hide, salt the hide. So he's done a lot of the work. So that's pretty unique. And it'll be super easy for us to get it back through Canadian Customs.
Safe.
We don't have to worry about lots of these hunts. I'm worried about a frozen hide. Like you pull the hide out and it's frozen, and you're on a time clock then after that. And so you're worried, well, what if it gets lost on the way back and I have to wait 2 days for it to arrive? and the hide's ruined. I mean, these hides are salted, and they would be good for months. Yeah, so they're good to go. So that's a cool thing.
It's awesome.
But we've ate good. We've had lots of coffee. We've had lots of Gatorade. We've had lots of
lasagna, and French toast,
and he made some whopper awesome double fried French fries
home
yesterday.
cut fries,
and he's going to do it again today for us.
Thank you, Dan.
He's going to
Make those French fries
cut those French fries.
Amazing.
from real Canadian potatoes.
Yeah, not that Idaho. So, all right. Next thing.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.